Welcome to the Attempting Stand-Up Comedy Podcast. I'm your host, Tim Cambridge. This is the journal entry edition, where I take a moment, step into the studio, and make a journal entry on this adventure of attempting stand-up comedy. And thanks for joining me on this ride. It is truly a fabulous experience with a lot of hurt and pain and suffering, but that's what takes us to a new level, is when we step outside our comfort zone. And man, have I been swimming in some uncharted waters lately. And here we are. Let's talk about it today on the journal entry. Well, as I record this journal entry, it's day 157 of attempting stand-up comedy, which is like a total infant child walking, yet not really, not walking at all, actually. I'm falling everywhere, which is actually what this is about. So I had some time on the road to host some events and some time with some comics on the road as well, you know, kicking around some ideas. And that's what I want to talk about today, about the whole idea of kicking around things. I use this phrase, test, tweak. So the tweak piece, you know, it's kind of like kicking it. You know, you have to get into a room, try out material. On my last journal entry, I talked about open mics. But today I want to talk about kicking ideas around with other people. And it's interesting point of view. You know, when you look at something and you're trying to write a joke from your point of view for authenticity, and you kick it around with somebody else, you kind of hear their perspective on it. And you have to be careful it doesn't take you outside of your place of truth. And for me, this is where I'm learning a ton right now. And that is being vulnerable, being a bit more real in the writing. So there's a few areas I'm actually working on, and I'm trying to define some things that I really dislike or hate, like fish and cats. And if you love cats, something's wrong with you. But anyways, we're going to talk about that in a future episode, about some of the jokes I'm working on in specifics. But multiple days now on the road with these comics and kicking around ideas as we drive from show to show has been a blast. And where I'm at in this adventure that's a point of frustration is not enough reps. For me, that is being in front of people to try out material. And so I'm actually going to be hosting an open mic in Eustis, Florida in May. That'll be a monthly open mic that I'll be able to at least know I'll be able to take the stage and do some time in the beginning to open up the night. But it's really challenging to have a safe place to test new material. And when I say safe place, I mean just some place you know that you can go and just totally be yourself. Because there are some shows that I'm coming in to be the host, and I don't necessarily want to take a risk that night with too much new material. Sometimes I'll test something in the middle, or I may have something on both ends at work. And so having a safe place, you can just go out there and say, hey, you know what, if I totally bomb, it doesn't matter, because that's what open mic's all about trying material. So I've been kicking around some stuff with some comics, and that has been super, super, super helpful. The other part of this adventure that has been really helpful for me right now is the podcasting. Why? Because it gives me a self-inflicted deadline. And this is something that I actually have been practicing in my professional work for years, is giving myself these artificial deadlines to get things done. It kind of declines the procrastination, and it accelerates the execution, right? Because if I have a deadline that I self-inflict, then I have to actually get things done to be ready to execute whatever that plan and project is. So I've always been a real big advocate for self-inflicted deadlines. And then I heard an interview from the comedian Jim Gaffigan, and he talked about how being a comedian is all self-work. You know, it's easy to think, well, I'm going to wait for the call, the booking, or whatever it may be. The reality is you have to go pursue the writing, pursue the opportunities, pursue the events. And that's very, very much a deep self-driven work ethic and responsibility. And you can see how when people are self-driven, it kind of separates them from the pack. And it's not easy because it takes self-discipline. And I think one of the challenges in comedy writing, and any performer for that matter, is that, you know, evil voice called self-doubt, right? It's the questionable, is this good enough, right? And nothing is ever finished. It's maybe never going to be perfected. You'll get a laugh at a joke one night, and then the next night, people don't laugh at it. You know, just strange environments / distractions, whatever's going on in people's minds. So we have to be persistent. And so that's my big exclamation highlight for this journal entry, is to stay persistent, right? It's not about it being easy. It's not about even always being fun, although I don't have a middle name. That's another story for another day. And so I jokingly say that my middle name is Fun. If I'm not having fun, I'm taking a nap, and actually taking a nap is fun. So nonetheless, I want to have fun doing this, but I want to stay persistent and keep on pushing it. So thanks for being on this adventure of attempting stand-up comedy, and let's laugh wherever we go. And most importantly, let's also understand that it does take a self-inflicted deadline to get done what you want to get done. So maybe there's something in your life you've been waiting to kick off. Go ahead and kick it out. Get it done with a deadline. I'm Tim Cambridge. Thanks for listening to the Attempting Stand-Up Comedy Podcast. Until next time, remember, wherever you go, laugh.